Here are 4 facts. 1. I was with my last boyfriend for a year and 8 months. One evening, we are fighting on a quiet side street outside his house. He starts walking quickly towards me and pushes me hard to the ground. I start to push myself back up, and as I am almost to standing, I look up and see that he has backed up down the street and is now charging towards me and shoves me hard again to the ground. I try to get away from him, but he has taken my car keys and thrown them somewhere so that I can't leave. 2. Another day, a few months later, this time it's morning. I'm going to Bali to play a show later in the year, and he is upset that he's not coming with me and that I'm taking Allie, my close girlfriend, instead. He is standing, I'm sitting on the bed. He says something, I say something. He says something worse, I say something worse. He grabs me up from off the bed, carries me over to the wall, puts his hand or hands, I don't remember which, around my neck, looks into my eyes, and begins to choke me. My feet are off the ground, and the weight of my body hangs from his hand or hands around my neck against the wall. I can't breathe and I am panicking. My throat burns and feels as though it is going to collapse from the pressure. Physically, my body is fighting hard, but mentally, everything has slowed down. I think about my throat. I think about singing. I think about how strange all of this is. I think about how this is the person I love. I will never forget the look on his face while he was choking me, how he looked directly into my eyes the entire time. Finally, he is done, and he throws me by my neck across the room. It will take me another month to leave him. 3. At Berkeley, I studied psychology, including training in domestic violence counseling. 4. I am a feminist. I have a close group of female friends who encourage each other, and we are all in some way working on our own small part of the feminist movement. Marching, writing, starting female-driven companies, or working to change the inequities in our current ones. I am not a weak woman. No female independent musician is. For my last tour, I drove 12,000 miles around the country on my own, loading my gear, a violin, a keyboard, a guitar, a ukulele, a keyboard stand, and 2 suitcases filled with electronic equipment into and out of hotels and venues 6 times a day. It goes like this. Wake up, load the gear out of the hotel into the car, drive 5 to 13 hours to the next city. Load the gear out of the car into the next hotel. Load the gear out of the hotel back into the car. Load the gear out of the car into the venue. Sound check, play the show, pack up, load the gear out of the venue back into the car, load the gear out of the car into the hotel, go to sleep, wake up, and do it again for 3 months. I negotiate my sound checks, my payments, and my contracts with misogynist door guys, misogynist sound guys, and misogynist booking guys. I say these things not out of pride, but in defense of myself, because I know what people think about women who choose to be with men who hurt them. I know because I used to think these things too. Despite everything I learned in my psychology and feminism courses, I still, if I'm honest, used to judge these women. I would think no woman with any sort of backbone would first choose a man like that and second stay with a man like that. I would think that one sentence that lies at the heart of all judgment. I would never do something like that. With the Me Too movement, a new conversation has arisen around why a woman might choose to share or not share her story. I bring up the Me Too movement because the reasons I have heard for either choice, to speak or stay silent, sound very familiar. When I was trying to decide what to talk about here today, I first wrote the talk that you're currently hearing, and then I panicked, and then I wrote an entirely different second talk about creativity and my decision to leave my job at a consulting firm in San Francisco and move to LA to pursue music. I wrote that second talk because I couldn't stand the thought of saying these words out loud and subjecting myself to your judgment. Here are a few of the reasons I didn't want to talk about this today. Because what happened to me is nothing compared to what's happened to other women. Because I am worried you will judge me as unintelligent, self-pitying, a mess, or a typical musician. Because I am worried you will use what happened as a reason to dismiss anything else I have to say. Because I am worried you will think I am the classic oversharing millennial who misunderstands and misuses the word vulnerability. I know we live in a share-happy culture. I also know that privacy and processing things before telling someone about it are both important. But there is a difference between keeping something to yourself and being told to keep something to yourself. The first person I tried to tell said, "It's probably best not to tell anyone about this, for your own good." And the second person I tried to tell said, "It's probably best not to tell anyone about this. You know how people are. It's for your own good." And because I'm worried you will think I'm telling you this for attention, why else would I voluntarily stand here and say these things? Here is why. Because I am tired of my insides and my outsides not matching. The reason I write songs and the reason I love to play them for people is that music and writing are the one space in my life where I can put it all out on the table. My hopes, my fears, my doubts, my insecurities, my ugliness, my failures, and people can take it or leave it, but at least the truth is off my shoulders and on the page. There's a certain peace I've found that comes from telling the truth. And because it doesn't make sense to me that he's the one who put bruises on my legs and my arms and my neck, but I'm the one who walks around with the shame and a secret that I keep for my own good. Now more than ever, women are coming forward with their stories of assault and trauma and harassment, and in response there has been a resounding Me Too. But there have also been just as many skeptical faces and accusations masked as innocent questions and devil's advocate. A group of men who had booked me for the event asked what I was planning to speak about here today. I said I was probably going to talk about the Me Too movement and what compels women to share their stories. One of the guys said, "Well, don't bring us up when you talk about that." And everybody laughed. Of course, this was the man who always stood too close to me. And another man said, "Yeah, but how many of these stories are actually true? At least some of these women must be doing it for money or attention. Why else would they be coming forward now?" And another man who had met his wife through work said, "This Me Too movement is making things so difficult. It's almost impossible for a man to flirt with a woman at work anymore. It's all so politically correct now." I'm sharing my story today in hopes that you will meet these women with more compassion and understanding and less judgment and skepticism. That you will realize she is aware of the enormous social risk she is taking in sharing this part of her, but that she is doing it because keeping it inside is the loneliest feeling in the world. And that just like any of us here, she wants and deserves to be seen for who she actually is and not some version of her that's easier to stomach. We heap shame upon shame on our women. We are told, make up elaborate excuses rather than say that you're on your period. Lie about your age. Don't say how many people you've slept with. Spend more time with your children and lean in at work. There is the shame of choosing a partner who would hurt you. The shame of staying with a partner who has hurt you. There's a shame of wearing too little at the wrong time of day, and the shame of wearing too much and needing to loosen up. There's a shame of trying too hard and the shame of letting ourselves go. There's so many ways to get it wrong. We are walking a precariously fine line, us women, and it's exhausting. Carrying the weight of so much shame is exhausting. So the first thing I'm putting down is this story. I've been carrying it around for 3 years and I don't want to carry it anymore. The only way women will be able to come into our full potential is if we aren't held down by the weight of our shame, and if we replace that with the true story of our strength. The fact that women's bodies are held down on beds, our necks choked against walls, our wombs controlled in a White House, our age used against us, and our humanity broken down into body parts by men on our way to work each morning. That we live with these facts and still manage to do our work, take care of our friends and our family, and even find happiness, shows the strength of women. But it is too much to ask, and I think we've reached a breaking point. Women are looking for healing and change. I am looking for healing and change. I want to take control in my life and my story, and what that feels like to me is being able to say what happened, so that other women can also say what happened. I think this world first needs to know what happened, and then it can begin to change. Thank you.